how do I, in this video we're going to learn how to install the Git. Okay, so you can write sudo apt -get install Git on the command line, and then you will be able to install it. Okay, I'm not going to use this command because I already have got the Git pre-installed. Okay, now how to create a repository for a new project, and we have discussed what is a repository. Repository is a collection of all versions or commits of the project along with some special information about the individual versions. Okay, so it's basically a collection of all the versions and commits, okay, for the project. Now, so here is my directory Valet, wherein I keep all my projects. Okay, and I'm using the Valet as a local server. Okay, Laravel Valet. So let's create a directory. Let's say mkdir, and let's say new repo. So we've named it as new repo. Okay, so to create a Git repository, an empty repository, all we have to do is type git init and the repo name. Okay, so in case if you're making a new repository and you're outside that directory, then you will use git init repo name. But in case if you are inside that repo, then you can just write git init. So let's go into the repo that we have created. We have the directory that we have created. Okay, so all we have to do is just to git init, and that's it. Okay, you can see it's initialize an empty Git repository in so and so place. Okay, so you can see that this says git master. So this is the master branch, this is the main branch. Okay, and if you want to know what has happened, if you do lsa, you can see there is an empty there is a Git repository that's been created. It's a hidden repository, that's why it's .git, and that's why we have used -a to be able to see this repository, and we can check what's inside of it. So we can do lsr, and it's going to give me all the content of the folders and subfolders and the files, etc. So we just need to go into the Git repository first. So once we are into it, then we can do lsr, and you can see that we've got head, config, description, hooks, info, objects, refs. Inside of hooks, we've got these kind of files. Inside info, we have exclude, objects, and things like that. So we've got all of the information there. Okay, so that's not really relevant to us. This is just to show you what's going on inside of the .git repository whenever you initialize a new repository. Okay, so let's create a file inside of it. Let's say I've created a file called index.php. Okay, and let's fill some content inside of it. So let's say nano index.php, and let's try open a PHP tag and say echo test. Okay, let's close it. Control X and Y. We've saved this file. Okay, and if you want to see what's inside of it, we can always check that we have this echo PHP echo test. Okay, great. Now, creating a new repository for an existing project. So we have already checked that how to do it. Okay, and in case if you're creating a new project, you can do git init repository name, then go into that repository. Okay, and then we can check. You will have the git folder created inside of it. Okay. If you were already working on a project and had forgotten to create a Git repository, you can create one now by using git init command once you are inside of that project. Okay. Name of the repository is not important. As long as the .git folder exists on your project folder, it will keep track of everything that happens inside of your project. Okay. Now, checking if your project has a Git repository. So how do you know if your project already is a Git repository? So all you have to do is just go into that project name. So let's say I'm into my new repo. I can see that I have this written as git master, so I know it is a Git repository. But in case if you don't have this message being displayed on your command line, you can always check ls minus the -a, and if you have a .git hidden directory inside of it, that means it is a Git repository. Okay, and if you ever want to delete this Git repository, you can do that by rm-rf.git. So you can, if you delete this .git directory, then this repository will be deleted. So I can do rm-rf.git, which means recursively delete all the files and folders inside of Git, including Git directory. And sure enough, you can see this message that we had earlier, Git master is gone now, so new repo directory is no longer a Git repository. Okay, so we can again make it a Git repository by using the git init command. So we're back. So again, if you check, we have the .git directory inside of it. Okay, so before deleting the .git folder, make sure you back up .git folder, because it contains all the changes of the Git repository. Okay, so unless you want to delete it, then you should not delete it. Okay, now steps to commit your file locally on PHP Storm. Okay, so or any other editor that you're doing. So you can go to command line. Okay, so if you want to commit all the changes that you made, so for example, if since you've added this new file, index.php, I think okay, one moment. Okay, I think the index.php is not showing. Let's just create one quickly. Touch index.php, and let's quickly write something inside of it. Open the PHP tag, echo test. Okay, let's Control X, Y, and saved. Okay, great. Now let's, so since I now have the index.php inside of it, so I've made some changes. I've created a file, but I need to commit those changes. So how do I commit those changes? So it's very simple. What you need to do is, first you need to add this file to the repository. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to type git add and the name of the file. So, and then you can check the status, what has happened, what's going on. So you can use git status, and you can see that on branch master, no commits yet, changes to be committed, new file index.php, which means this file has been added to the Git repository. However, it's not been committed yet. So what you need to do now is you need to git commit, and then you need to pass a message along with that. You can write add index.php. Remember that the message will always be in present tense. Okay, so instead of adding, you'll write add, because that's in present tense. Okay, and that's all you have to do to commit it. It's been committed. Okay. All right. Now, if you want to check that yes, it's been committed, you can do git log. So if you do git log, you can see this is the commit done. It's inside the master branch, author is in branch, so yeah, date, and this is the message that we had written, which is add index.php. Okay, so let's go ahead and quit. You can use Q button to quit. Okay, so going through this, adding and committing file to the repository, git add file name, which is just something that we learned. Git commit m message, this is something that we learned. Adding and committing all file to the repository. In case you had multiple files, then and if you wanted to commit all of them, you can just do git commit -a and then m, and -a stands for all and -m stand for message. Okay, and then adding, checking status, and committing all files to the repository. So in case if you want to add multiple files, and if you have multiple files inside of it, if you had more files than one, then you can always use git add all. So dot means add all the files with the changes, only the files with the changes. Okay, and git status is obviously, it tells you which Git repository we are on. Okay, and displays what files are added and or untracked. Then git commit and message. So so there are three things you need to do. First is add the file. Okay, so if you made any changes, write the name of the file in case if you want to add only one file, and to add dot for all the files with changes. Then you can do git status, which tells you the status, and then git commit dash m message to commit those changes. Whenever you do git log, not git log but git status. Okay, so that currently there's nothing to change. Let's create one more file. So I'll say touch test.php, and let's go ahead and add this file. So I will say git add all, and I will check git status. Okay, so you can say that this says unstage, and unstage means remove an added file, and basically this is the command you'll use to unstage, which is remove this added file. Okay, untracked means the files not added. Okay, so you may get different messages over here. This clearly means that this file has been added but not committed. Okay, so changes to be committed, and that's what it means. Okay, so if you want to change the username and email for you as a committer, you can use git config and then _global user.name Imran Sayed and then email. So if you remember, when we had done git log, we had the author name and the date with the email address. So if you want to change this author name and the email address as a committer, you can use these two commands to do that. Okay, if you want to view all the commits, you can use git log, which is what we've done just yet. Okay, so let's do one more thing. Let's go ahead and commit this change that we've just made. So we've added a file called test.php. Let's go ahead and commit that. So git commit m add test.php. Now go ahead and do git log, and sure enough you can see that you have two commits. First one was add test.php, sorry, add index.php, and second commit is add test.php. And this is called hash. This is basically the commit number. Whenever you want to go ahead and go to a particular commit, you can always use just the 5 characters from this commit hash. So this thing is called hash. Okay. So let's say if you want to go to a particular commit that you had done to the history. Okay, so let's quit first. Okay, so I'll do get log once again, and let's say okay, so let's say I want to go back to previous commit. So the current commit is the test.php, and previously we had done the commit with the index.php. Let's say I want to go to this commit. So how do I do that? So first you'll do git log, and you can see this is the commit number. You will copy the first 5 characters, quit, and you'll do git checkout, and then the 5 characters of the commit number. So you can see that now you are on to that particular commit. Okay, so it says checking out so and so commit number. You are detached head stage, which means you are no longer in the master. On the master, you are on that particular commit. You can look around, make experimental changes, or commit them. You can discard any commits you make in this state without impacting any branches, performing any other checkouts. If you want to create a new branch to retain commits you create, and you may do so by using b with checkout command later, for example this and this. So this I'll explain to you later, because it will come in a later stage, but for now, just for your information, that we are currently on that particular commit. Okay, and if you want to see that yes, you are on that commit. Remember, when we made the first commit, we didn't have this file, we didn't have the test.php. So now if I go and do ls, you will see that we only have the index.php. Why? Because at this stage, when we had done this commit, then we didn't have the test.php. We never created that. So that is the benefit of Git, because tomorrow, let's say if you're making changes to your existing files and you add something that you really didn't want to, you can always go back to your previous commit wherein everything was working fine. Okay, so let's say that you're working on your project, and up until a certain time everything was working fine, but you made some changes in your project and all of a sudden you start getting errors. Now you can't really go back and back in time and find out what is when it was working, but if you had committed this, you can always go back onto that particular commit and you will have everything, all your codes as it was working before. So this is quite useful. Okay, all right. So let's go next. So we want to go back to our master branch, okay, onto the normal stage. So how do we do it? So all you have to do is use git checkout. So remember, this is master, so all we have to do is type master. So git checkout command is very useful. We'll use git checkout, and then wherever we want to go, if you want to go to a particular commit in the past, we can get the commit number by using git log, and then we can go into that particular commit, make some changes, do whatever we want. And then if you want to come back to master, all we have to do is do git checkout master. So this git checkout command is very useful, and you will see it quite often. Okay. Now next is if you want to know the difference between two commits. So if you remember, let's clear this first. If I do git log, these are the two commits that we had. If you want to know what is the difference between these two commits, so then what we need to do is we need to copy the 5 characters of this one. Okay, quit. And if you remember, so we need to use the command which is git diff. Type this 5 characters of that commit, and then 5 characters of the other commit. So we can just mention the commit number and then hit enter, and you can see that we are getting what is the difference. So it says that git a test.php, b test.php. Okay, which means that this test.php is the difference between the two comments, that this test.php wasn't there. Okay. Perfect. All right. There's another command called git checkout -b branch name, which it was showing earlier in comments, which I said I'll discuss that later. So this command will create a branch called branch name if okay, sorry, maybe gone. Sorry about that. Okay, so git diff command, and we need to type the commit numbers for both, 5 characters of commit number of both, and this will tell us the difference. Okay, so let's say if you get something like this, plus 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 means that something has been added, and minus 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 something has been removed. If you have plus sign before a particular string, which means that content has been added. Okay, so I'll show that to you once again. So let's say that we write something in the test file. We write h1 heading Control X, press Y. Okay, now let's commit this, and as we all know, then we need to do 3 things. First thing, git add. You can do all also, you can do test.php as well. Remember, all, which means dot, is going to add all the files with changes, and if you just specify the name, which means dot, if you just put dot over, it's going to go ahead and add all the files with the changes. And if you're going to use just the file name, that it will only add that particular file name. So let's do this. Then second thing, as we discussed earlier, we have to do is check the status. As you can see, changes to be committed. So this file has been added, but it's not been committed yet. So what we need to do is we need to commit. This is the third thing we do. Git commit, m for message, in quotes, add content to test .php. Okay, so that's been done. Now if you want to know about the commits, you can see that this was our first commit, this was the second one, and this is the third one. Now we want to know the difference between these two commits. How do we do it? Let's go ahead and copy and let's paste it here somewhere, and this one as well. And let's press Q to quit. Then I want to know the difference between these two commits. Get diff, and then copy this, paste it. This is the first commit number, sorry, the last commit number, and this is, I think, the second last. No, this is the second last, and this is the last. Okay, that's fine. So you can see that this is a plus sign, and this is in green, which means this has been added in the file. So in the previous commit, this heading h1 tag was not there, but now it is there. So that is the meaning of this. Okay, plus 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 means added, and minus 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 means delete, removed. Okay, so you can see this green, and this is the difference. Okay, cool. Now in the next video, we're going to learn how to work with branches. Okay, cool. I'll see you in the next video.